I think you could just draw your comic book black and white and leave it like that if you did it just like that Wonder Woman picture, and it would be just fine.
I really can't do a whole lot of Bruce Timm style. I did.
No, I don't mean like. I meant like for your comic book, just do black and white because that looks really good, and like, I think you could translate that over well to your stuff that you're working on.
The problem I was having with it though is keeping consistency over multiple pages.
Yeah, no, but like, I get that, but you can just try to, like, draw. Like, obviously, you're gonna have to redraw the same pages like 20 times, but you draw out your first concept and you try to keep it as close as you possibly can, and then you just work on it from there. So you're like, okay, this page doesn't look the same, so instead of, like, you already have the whole thing laid out, so you just take this page and you're like, okay, I'm gonna redo this whole page, but then I'm gonna try to make it look better and just like the original page.
Yeah, well, is the character design is what I was coming. The problems I was having is keeping that consistent, like the faces, keeping it even between different panels, drawing the same face over and over again and having it look like the same person.
No, but that's what I mean. Where you just take, like, you just draw the whole thing out and don't worry about if it looks the same.
Right.
And then, like, once you have it all the same, or like all the pages laid out, you could take this page and be like, well, this page needs some work, just like drawing wise, so you can readjust the face and fine tune it to get it where you want it to be. And then you could always just scan it on the computer, or like scan it off your phone, put it on the computer, and just like Photoshop it together where all the pages would be one page and it would be seamless.
Yeah, I could do that. I was thinking about scanning it and putting it on the computer because I have a scanner.
That would be the way to go.
One. Yeah.
And you could definitely do that.
But I'd have to lay out all the panel layouts and everything first. Making a comic book is very tedious. Something which I didn't expect. I feel like I'm more of a writer than I am an artist as well.
Well, yeah, but I think, like, if you have a good story and then you just give it, like, a rough idea of drawing to it, and then, like, even if you're not satisfied with the drawing, you could take it to someone and see, but, like, once you have the full story, because I wouldn't want to work on something that isn't, like, fully there, or, like, that doesn't seem to have, like, the commitment behind it to be fully there.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's why I'm trying to... That's why I sort of stepped back from the whole art side of it and just started working on the story. And I got to do another draft of it because it's been too long since I've touched it. But another problem is finding an artist that would...
No, I know. It's...
that would have... that would be able to draw it in the style I want and also have the same passion. Well, not... Obviously, they won't have the same amount of passion behind it because it's not their project, but... that would have a suitable amount of passion behind it that they'd want to actually get it done.
Yeah, but, like, the problem with... Yeah, it's hard finding people who are committed to do anything. Yeah. Which really sucks,
but... podcasting.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah.
That's... Well... really just threw me off there. No, but it is really hard to find someone committed, and I think... I think if you just get the story down and just do it how you want it, and then just rough sketch it out, and then, like, you just search for the people, like, eventually you'll find something. But like I said, I think it would be better if you had a full thing done of it than just, well, here's some of it, but here I need art done for it, but I don't have the whole thing done yet, kind of deal, you know?
Yeah, and I don't want to just post it online and find someone like that. I don't know, networking for that is difficult. I mean, that might be an easy way to find someone.
I mean, I imagine you could just go to, like, the comic book shops around and just put something up, and then you could find someone like that.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, if I knew an art major, it would be easier. But...
Yeah, but that's why, like, I suggest that, because then, like, you have literally people who are vested and interested in the same thing, and then these people read comic books all the time. That's why they're doing this, going there.
Yeah.
So it would just be beneficial to go there and just ask or put something up where I need an artist to do this kind of thing.
I'd want to go, if I was going to do something like that, if I was going to go into, like, outside of, like,
your known area,
type stuff, I would want to have more of a solid draft. I've done, like, 2 drafts, I think, of this story so far. I'd want to have it solid to the point where I'm happy with it before I even think about asking people that I don't know.
No, yeah, I get that.
To help me with it. Because I feel like someone has to see something in it
That's why I said I feel
to be committed.
it would be good to have just try to get the whole thing done, or just work on it enough to where you could have a solid stand on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta get back into it. I don't even remember some of the points in it.
I think it's just try to use downtime and just work on it, or just when you think of something, just immediately type it in on your phone and just text it to yourself or save it in a notepad and do something like that. It'd be.
That's what I've been doing, but I got a new phone, so a lot of it isn't here anymore. But instead of doing it as on the notes on the other phone.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why I tried to keep everything like on Google.
Yeah, I did my first draft I did on Word, and then I lost the file. So ever since then, everything's on Google.
Yeah.
I have like 7 or so Google Docs.
Mhm. Because I know at work for me, I just have a piece of paper or a notebook, and I just write everything I think of down on a notebook and just go like that.
When I was starting to write it though, I realized I was going too far ahead of myself with working out the whole a 3-issue arc instead of just working on the first issue, which is why I sort of stepped back from that.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it's not seeming to go anywhere, but hopefully before the end of next year.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could say is, like, from, like, reading your draft and stuff that I found, like, kind of, I guess it's not bad, but it would become a, no, I don't mean it like,
right.
Like, the story was good and it was cool, but, like, the bad part would be, how are you going to translate that to ink? And that's where I was like, because a lot of your details, like, they were super good details, like, in the writing of it, but, like, in the comic, like, I couldn't, like, visualize and see some of the stuff. Like, I was just like, well, yeah, I get it reading it. I'm like, yeah, that makes 100% sense. Like, that's I see that, that's how it goes.
Example, yeah.
I don't remember, like, I don't remember, like, because I'd have to pull it back up, and I don't have that.
Oh.
But I remember looking at it, and it was just,
it's been a while.
there was so much detail in the writing. Like, it was just in general, there was so much detail in the writing, and I felt like it would be hard to pull it, like, back into the comic without, like, a lot of writing in the comic, which I don't know if you're straying away from that either.
The first page, when I did the first few pages, I did as concepts before I had the story finalized in this draft, and there was a lot of text because there was a lot of exposition I got to get out of the way, and I'm trying to do that more visually.
Yeah, I feel like if you can do that, it would work.
It's harder to do because you got to balance the visual and the text because you don't want too much text. But another problem I was having with the later pages is there was too much
images and not enough
text.
Yeah.
So I gotta strike a balance there. There's a lot of comics where they do that, where it's just big splash pages and then it's one image and then there's a little bit of text or even no text, just narration and stuff. And that works, but not for an entire book.
Yeah, it was like, I guess, like, the first part that, like, I didn't really see how you were going to translate is, like, you had this being in space that had the cosmic radiation and, like, wiped out a whole civilization. But, like, I could see that, but, like, I couldn't picture, like, how you describe all the details on, like, what that civilization was doing with that thing and, like, what they belonged to and what the loss was and, like, why that was such a big thing. Like, I could just understand that, okay, this is how he got his powers, or this is how it came to be. But, like, I didn't get, like, all the story behind it that you wrote in the actual thing of it.
Right. Trying to think. The first page, I laid it out on paper, I think, in images before I even wrote a lot of the story. It was a lot of it was in my head when I drew it before I even wrote it down, which is probably not the right way to approach it. But
I don't know. I think getting stuff down, like, no matter what, even if it's like you got something down and you got a little ahead of yourself with getting, like, so you just did images and got them down, I think it would be fine because you're still working on, like, you can go back and change the images. It's not like that image is set in stone. It's just the idea of it.
Right.
Just like the words, like, the writing of the story can be changed. It's just to get that idea down. So if you're like, you go so far and you're like, well, that idea didn't work, so you like kind of scrap it and throw it aside, but you start a new idea, and then you realize you can tie that old idea back into the new idea. You still have that old idea, and you can still apply it to what you're doing now.
That you can have physically, as opposed to being in your head, you could have physically down somewhere that you can use as reference later on.
Yeah, it's still better than nothing.
It's part of the process, but it's probably not the most efficient way of working through it.
Yeah, but it's still getting ideas down at the end of the day. And then you could literally just have those like
references.
Yeah, or like taped up to, like, if you wrote them down, tape them like on a board, and then like when you're working on it and writing it, or at your computer, or say you have multiple like screens up on the computer, so you can look at everything and see how it's going, and then you could just piece it together like that. Because that's what I found. Because I wrote like the first draft of like what I was working on, the first episode. Like I wrote like 3 different versions of like how I want that to start and go, but then what I did was I'd go back and I'd take something from the first one and I'd put it in the second draft, and then I was like, well, that doesn't work, so in the third draft I wrote the first way it could go, but then I used the first part from the first one and wrote it out and then changed the second way. So I had, in the third draft, there's technically 2 drafts of it, because I can take it this way or I can take it that way.
So you want multiple different scenarios, and then you pick which one you like.
Yeah, and you kind of just piece it together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because if you have a good start in the end, you can just wiggle your way through. Like, obviously wiggle your way through at first, but then like once you get like, you find a good way where you can tie pieces together and other stuff together, you can just try to run it seamlessly through and pick points out that you want and take them like that.
Yeah, I did figure out the start and the end of the first arc, the first 3-issue arc, and I can't quite remember, because I don't think I wrote it down, how I wanted the 3rd issue to go, but that's way far ahead anyways. I didn't have the first issue down.
Yeah.
So I gotta probably do at least 2 complete new drafts of the first issue. Yeah. And then probably that other one I'm about to go over.
I think it would be, so if you're working on a 3, what I would do if I was working on it,
you write all them out first before you start.
Well, that, but I was thinking like, so you want to do a 3-story arc, and you have the start of the arc and you have the end of the arc. What I'd do is I'd take the first issue and find the end of the first issue, then find a place to start the second issue, and find a place to end the second issue, and then find a place to start the 3rd issue, and then the ending of that. So then you just streamline, like you do. If you say you wanted to work on the second issue because you found an idea that you think would work, and you write the second issue to end, and then from there you can write the 3rd issue and tie it to the end, or you could just work on the last issue. And so you're like, well, I know this is what has to build up to the end, and I already know my end, and so now I know the whole build up to my end with that 3rd one. So now the first one I'm working on, I got a good idea to start it, and then I can just end it here, and then you have to pick 2 places in between, which would be easier than straight writing.
Right. Writing, if you have an end point in mind instead of just a beginning point, it's a lot easier to work through it. Which I'm debating whether or not I'm going to write all 3 issues before I even start to think about images and art and everything.
That would probably.
I might do that. Probably not get into the second arc until I have all 3 of these.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Finished. At least, on a rough book, they could actually has art and text, even if it's not
like one set thing.
Yeah, even if it's not like completely finished, that where it would be done entirely. But as long as it's on paper with art and text and the story is solid. After that, if I get all 3 of those out, then I'll start thinking about the second arc. But I did have plans for the second arc. That's what I was saying. I was getting way ahead of myself.
No, but just write them down. Still write them down, because you could still use them in the future. But, I guess I think about it in the way, Gary Vee says it. He's like, yeah, you can have a dream, but a dream means absolutely nothing. It means nothing because you're never going to accomplish it, because a dream is so big. But if you take that dream and you break it down into goals, and you say, that dream, I want to be famous in X, Y, Z, or whatever, So you take that and you're like, what do I need? Well, I need to do this much work to get there, and I need this much drive, and then I need to put myself out there this much. I know at least that's how much I have to work for that. And then if I set so much time a day, say a half hour or 15 minutes aside, you just jotted stuff down, you're working to it, and then like your goal would be first issue, second issue, third issue, and the main goal, the dream would be the arc. But because you broke it down, and then you can break those goals even further down, and you could be like, well, I just want the story for the first issue, and then like the next step is the art for the first issue, and then if you want to go coloring, that's your third step. So in your dream, you can accomplish it now because you actually broke it down and you made it something obtainable instead of something that it's not. Like everybody's like, well, I want to lose weight, that's like my dream is to be this weight, but yeah, and they're like, yeah, I'll go to the gym, but they do it like only so often. Yeah, they have no plan, so they just go into it, and then they get disappointed, and then they give up, which is dumb. Like, if you give up right after you're like, oh, I messed up, you got to get right back into it. You can't just be like, oh, I'll wait till this day, I'll wait till that day. You got to do it right then and there, or you're never going to get it done.
Yeah, you got to do it right, too. You can't just jump into something not knowing what you're getting into. But
well, even I think you can jump into something even if you don't know what you're getting into, as long as you have a good approach. Like, as long as your mind is there and you're gonna keep at, like, you keep your mind at it. Like, you don't just, like, you can, like, obviously people just jump in and drown. But, like, if you jump in and you're just, like, dog paddling away trying to get at it, then you're still working. And then, like, you'll get to a certain point of working so hard that you can float.
Experience.
Yeah. At the end of the day. And, like, don't take it as you failed, as, like, I'm done. Just take it as you failed.
Loki said experience is experience earlier. Even though he failed. That was a quote.
That's pretty good. But nobody knows that we're watching Endgame until right now.
Considering
it's Infinity War.
Endgame is not Netflix.
My bad. Yeah, but I think if you just, I don't know. That's what worked for me. I took it because I want to write a TV show, so I wrote it. Like, I had the beginning and the end, and like, so I broke one season down, and I broke it into the 12 episodes, and I broke each episode down. I wrote how I want them to go with just a rough idea, and then like I went back into the first episode idea, and like I actually started like detailing it how I think it should go, and that's where I got like the first draft, which came into the third and the fourth and all that stuff, and it just ties better, and it's, I don't know, it seems a lot easier for me, at least. And it makes sense, because if you break some unrealistic goal down, like dream down into goals or something that's actually obtainable, it's achievable. And then you feel good when you do it. It makes you want to work to the next goal, and not just like, well, I didn't get famous. Well, yeah, but you could have broke it down where, oh, I did this today, and 8 different people added me and follow me now, which just grows your networking.
Someone added me on Snapchat earlier.
Yeah, and that just grows your networking, just like that.
Someone we went to school with, but doesn't, whatever. I was gonna say a name, never mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know where to go with that.
I just feel, I don't know. I feel like you could, I can say the same, because I don't feel I've put enough work into what I want to do to make it a possible. And I feel if you just set that 15, 20, 30 minutes aside every day, it's not like we don't have that kind of time.
Right. I've been slacking, I'm aware.
Yeah.
I need probably work on this right when you leave. I'll go over my draft at least.
See, but that's the good thing, you're aware of it and you know it, and you're gonna
I know
hopefully try to change it so you can actually, because at the end of the day, it's just to get it out there and hopefully do it, you know?
Right. I have a lot of it planned out. I think a lot of the stuff the issues I have with it are small, like, plot things, not major plot points. Like, all the major plot points I feel are solid. There's just small inconsistencies I gotta work out. And that's just because I wrote it all at one sitting, this draft.
Yeah.
And it's all been worked a couple of times off of draft, but every time I've just done that.
Yeah.
It's all been in my head, and I've just been writing it down as I go. And there's some logical inconsistencies that come from that, because you forget stuff you mentioned earlier, and it's not 100% consistent. So it's just small things I gotta iron out. But problem I've found in it when reading it back a few times is a lot of the characters aren't written as well. The main story point is written well, and the characters are just not really explained as much as they probably should be. They don't go into too much depth about their backstories and their lives and anything. And maybe just for the main character, I really need to do that, at least in the first issue, because it's an origin story. I should dive more into his background and everything. There's a couple side characters that are written in there, but
from reading it, I feel like maybe the female lead character should have more background to it.
Yeah,
because
I feel like I was going to explain her more in a different issue. I'm just not entirely sure what her background is.
No, yeah, but as long as you have that idea in mind, because that was that was again the one thing that I thought out that it didn't make sense is they're old enough, like they're 20-some plus years old. I was
going to change it to her sister before you even say it. It's going to be your sister, not her mom.
Okay.
I've thought that out.
Yeah, because I was like, this person comes and picks them up, but like she's of the age where it doesn't make sense. I
just needed her to leave without driving.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way I thought about it when I wrote it is that the reason that her mom picked her up is because there was an accident, and her mom was worried about her.
Okay. Then
that was the reason.
Yeah, if you put that in, but like just reading it the first time, I was like,
I see why that wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
Come across.
Like I read that and I immediately was like, well, this doesn't.
Right.
Like I get it, but like I was kind of like, well.
So I might change it to her sister, or I might try to explain it differently. But the point is, she leaves without really saying goodbye or whatever. She has to be out of it so that he can. So the story continued from his point. Yeah. He has to be alone at that part. Mm-hmm. But it's just small things like that I gotta iron out.
Yeah.
I can't remember any other specific examples because I haven't read it in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and then
a couple weeks, probably longer.
The other thing that I noticed is like it was all great story, but near the end it felt kind of rushed. Like the last little bit of it, like the end of what happened, it was just like it felt like boom, 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 points hit that I needed to hit, and I didn't really build. Like this.
Not as much build up.
No, yeah, it was like you could tell like full energy was in like the first 95%, but like the last 5% kind of started to like slow down and tear off.
I got a lot of the exposition out of the way in the beginning.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of heavy writing there, and I feel like I could do a space and let out a bit and spread so there's a bit more evenly distributed towards the end. But I got to the end and I already got across
all the points you needed. Yeah.
There was just more to finish the story that needed to take place.
Yeah. No, I totally understand.
So, that's another thing. That's what I gotta. The second draft, I'm gonna try to space that out a bit. But I gotta get back into it because I've been off of it for a while and it's just remembering everything that I put down and why I put it there. Yeah. It's a bit difficult. And I think I'm set on this name. It's all in blue on here because I wasn't sure if I was going to change the main character's name.
Yeah, that's what I did. Like with mine, like I know certain characters are set in stone, but like the main character, I just put his name as like just underlines, so I knew like this is where his name would go, but I just need to find a name that fits. And like I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of just writing the story like from my point of like how I'd want stuff to go throughout the story, so I feel like I might just take it and flip it on my own.
Yeah, the character name is really not that important. I just went with alliteration.
Yeah.
Because it's a classic comic book trope, and it's what it's supposed to be. In that same sort of vein as like Silver Age, well, kind of more modern age, I guess, comics, but it's supposed to. It feels pretty comic booky to have.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Name, so I just threw that in there.
Like reading it out, it definitely felt like. Yeah, that was someone
like
that Superman would hang out with.
Yeah.
Like that's what it sounded like.
It sounded like a comic book character.
Yeah. And it sounded.
What was the girl's last name? I know her first name was Sam.
Yeah.
I was pretty set on her name, so I didn't highlight her name.
Yeah, that's what I would do too, because like if I have names that are set, and I was like, well, I can't change these names for reason ABC because like I like the name like that, or like it has important story to it where you can't change the name. But
I might change her last name. Her last name's Lang. I named her after Lana Lang, but it doesn't. It's no alliteration, so Sam Lang.
Yeah.
Samantha. I think Samantha sounds better than Sam in that context. Samantha Lang sounds better than Sam Lang.
Yeah, I think when you're like addressing her as her like full name, or like when you
Say
first
Samantha.
introduce her, but then like because you know
Sam.
the main character is close to her as a friend, it would just be Sam. Like it would just be standardized.
Yeah.
Or normalized, I guess you would say.
Yeah, that's. I might change her last name to something else, more comic booky. But she's supposed to be like the Lois Lane character, which I'll dive more into her backstory. Like at the beginning, they're just gonna be friends. I'm spoiling stuff. They're friends in the first issue, but it goes on because if you put a female lead in there, it's kind of expected.
Yeah, that's usually how it.
Yeah.
That's how it plays. It's the 1-2.
There's literally only 2 characters that are gonna be continual characters that I introduced into the first issue. So, and it's her and the main character. So, yeah, they're gonna get together, but I'm not sure when yet.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Wow.
For a comic book that's never gonna come out.
Hot tea, hot tea, spilled tea all over here.
Oh yeah.
But it's good to have the idea. Like you don't need to know when, but like it would be cool to place it out. Like, cause I guess I did it in the same way. Like, even though I wrote the episode names and I wrote like what's gonna happen, like I wrote like I know the big point of this whole reason why this, like, I don't know if it would work the same way in the pages or like at least the issues, but like the big point I wanted to get across in that thing was ABC, like this main thing that I had. And so like I know if I just wrap the story around there, I can find my way out.
Right.
Because like you could dig yourself out. It's just how you get to it.
Right. You gotta have an end goal in mind.
Yeah.
You have to have something to work towards instead of just going in blind.
Yeah.
Right. I was also gonna do. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into this because this is stuff that happens in later issues. But I was gonna try to tease the idea of a love triangle and just not have one. I was gonna introduce another male character in there and like have it so that people would expect a love triangle and just not happen. But I'm not sure how to write that in yet. That's just another idea I had for later issues in terms of more character-based storyline.
It would definitely be a fun idea to like flip it on people and like have it like just change. I think that's the cool thing about writing a story is that you can have something set up where it seems like, oh, this is 100% gonna happen, but then you literally just yank the wheels off the bike and you're like, yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. That was never planned. It was just I set it up to give you the hope, but I just took it away because it wasn't real. You made it real.
A big theme of a lot of the stuff I want to do is that. Show stuff that looks like something's going to happen one way and then it happens a completely different way, and then if you read it back you can sort of see there's like hints and stuff that it was never going to be that way.
It was just you
events
wishing it was that way.
Events lined up in the way that would lead you to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But, it wouldn't be logical for it to.
Yeah, if you read in between the lines it wouldn't have been there.
Right. That's kind of what I wanted. A lot of the writing I wanted to be like that. So that's kind of a theme I was going for. But that's sort of stuff that, again, happens in later issues. The first issue is a lot of it just explaining where he gets his powers from and how he uses them and how he learns to be this character. And I had to drew a lot of inspiration from multiple different sources for it. So it's definitely heavily inspired by other characters, but I think it's different enough.
Yeah,
to be its own thing.
I think the way I talked about it with the guy at work, he was like, well, you can't do this because it's already been done. And I go, no, I'm doing it a different, like, it's different. It's not the same way, but it doesn't matter, no matter, like, how I do it, as long as I try my best and try to make it better than the whatever. Like, obviously some stuff, it can't be better, but, like, if someone sees that, like, you used a part of their idea, but you changed it enough where it isn't the same idea, but you put like your heart and soul into it to work on that idea and make it your own, even though you took partial part from someone else, it's still you doing enough on your own and putting enough time and energy into it where it wasn't just stolen, it was inspired by. I think that's the difference where you gotta like blend them two. Is It wasn't that I did that, it was that I took it but I made it my own and I tried to make it better.
Right. there's a in comic books especially writing for a superhero. There's basically there's two poles. There's Superman and there's Batman, and these were like the two first big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And every other superhero falls somewhere in between them. Like you have the alien with all the powers, and you have the mortal with no powers.
Yeah.
Like every superhero falls somewhere in between it. And mine's definitely a lot closer to Superman, but I think it's still different enough because he's more of a cosmic-based entity. So it's still science-based and not really magic-based, his powers, but they're, I don't know, I feel like it's different from a lot of stuff. It's sort of like a cross between Superman and Captain Marvel, but that's sort of, Captain Marvel was a parody. Shazam was a parody of Superman originally. Well, not a parody, but a knockoff.
Yeah.
So it's still, it's in that same, but there's so many characters that are of that power level and of that style. I feel like that's, Superman's like he's like the benchmark for what, or not, maybe not benchmark, it's not the right word. But he's like the optimal, he's like the guidelines that every
hero falls off.
Yeah, of that, in that sort of category.
Yeah.
So I feel like, even though it is very similar to a lot of that, I think it's different enough. But I still got to work on motivations are very similar to Superman's.
Yeah.
Just doing the right thing because he has the power to do the right thing. But I don't know. I don't know. Like that's an interesting story that a lot of people don't tell anymore, just because it just feels a bit old fashioned.
Yeah.
Because it's been done so many times, but it's still a good story. I think there's still stuff there.
There's still stuff left untapped from it. Yeah.
I
don't know. Reading it, I don't get like my very little comic book knowledge, but like, or seeing the movies, but reading yours compared to like a Superman or like the
Shazam,
what is Shazam, it's you can see it's inspired, but it was different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was never at like a point just reading it where I was like, yeah, this is exactly the same. Like it has the same like art style feel and look to it,
right.
But it was different. Like it was different enough where I was just like, yeah, it's inspired. Like it takes some stuff, but it's not ripping it off. It's paying homage and doing something different and trying to make it your own and unique and better, which I don't see it as a problem. I thought it was cool for what it was. It's good.
That was a big struggle, was trying to make it different enough that it wouldn't feel like something everyone's read before.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and also the problem is what hasn't been done.
Yeah, in comic books, the comics been being published. Superhero comics have been being published for 80, 90 years.
Yeah, and I could probably pull up 10 different comic book series that you've never heard of.
Right.
And it's like your idea was in part of that comic book, like one small idea, and then it was like, because like what I'd do is like I'd be like, someone would tell me, oh well, this has kind of been done here, and I'd be like, well, I'm just gonna drop the idea then, and it was like, well, no, if after I looked at it, it was like, yeah, it's been done, but it was done like this, I'm spinning it this way, and it's different. It was just that one aspect of that thing was similar, and it was like, don't, like, I get that you're trying to help me by saying they are the same, but it's like, you got to point out that they're also different in many ways.
It's good to acknowledge similarities. That way you can, if you know that they're similar, and you don't subconsciously write the same thing. You need to be aware of similar things so you can force yourself to make it
different,
exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's inspiration is definitely a big part, which is definitely okay. I feel taking inspiration from other ideas, because that's the whole point, I think. And
yeah, because everything is based off somebody else's. Like at the end of the day, it's like someone was like, well, I want to make this style car, and it was like, well, yeah, I'm inspired by this car, but I want to make it better. So how can I make it better, but still like pay homage to that idea? It's like, well, here's this, and this is better, and it's faster and whatever, but like then the next person comes along, he's like, well, this is great, I like this, but here, let's make it better. No, it's just, I get it.
Yeah, but inspiration is definitely it's something that's unavoidable, having similarities between things. Just being aware of what makes things what they are and making it different enough, building off of different ideas, I feel like is definitely something that a lot of people are afraid to do. But if you do it right, I think it's
Yeah.
it can work out. And you want to take inspiration from things that work too.
Yeah.
You can look at stuff that works and what doesn't work, and then base it off of what
has done and good in the past.
Yeah. What people have done that has worked out for them, and yeah. So I think inspiration is very useful, actually.
Yeah, it's like you said, as long as you acknowledge it and you understand, and you don't just be blind about it, and you just don't throw out like if you are doing it, you're just like, no, I'm not, and it's like, well, you obviously are, and you could see it. Like as long as you're looking at it as like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm trying, but this is how I'm gonna do it. It's different. It's different enough where you can still get your idea and message across without.
A lot of your inspirations, though, that people have brought up to you, I feel like, are things you haven't seen. So it's just parallel thinking. A lot of it. So you've had the same idea as someone else, but you didn't know they had the idea.
Yeah, because my knowledge of, I guess, pop culture, movies, comics, and all that is very limited because I just, as much as I want to create a comic book movie and TV show, I haven't seen enough where I could validate something. But like every time someone points something out to me, like I do look at it and I see it and I try to, like I said, try to point out that I am doing it different.
Right.
Or working towards something.
Right. So parallel thinking is a different form of inspiration, but it's the ideas exist, even like outside of where they were displayed, like in whatever medium it was. The ideas exist in like the popular mind or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're available to you even if you don't know. Like you can subconsciously be influenced by ideas, even from like a movie you've never seen.
Yeah.
Like a concept from it. So it's unavoidable, really.
Yeah, because like I said, everything's what hasn't been done.
Right.
Like at some point, you're gonna run into something that's been done.
Storytelling has been through all of human history.
It's literally storytelling.
And a lot of even comic books are, even like the older comic books from like the 30s are based on stories from like the ancient Greeks and stuff. There's not a whole lot of original storytelling. It's adapting ideas and putting new spins on them and trying to make them fresh and interesting, which is a lot of the fun of writing, I think, in a way. Trying to adapt older ideas and making them relevant into whatever story you're trying to tell. New characters and stuff.
Yeah, even if you take, like you said, even an old idea. Like someone at work was working on a comic based off of the Bible, but they took the Bible and like parts that they never discussed in the Bible and they twisted it where it would be different, and it was like, well, this is the part you never saw that happened, and it was like, holy cow. Like when he was explaining to me his idea of like, well, this is what they show, but like if I do this behind it and just say like we follow the story of the Bible, but you just show what wasn't shown in like the stories or the movies and stuff like this, it creates this whole new thing to it. And it was like, that was like when he was explaining it to me, I was mind blown that it was like, I've never, like it probably has been done, but like I've never heard of anything done like that. And like just hearing the way that like you're still keeping all of history and everything the same based off whatever version of whatever you're doing, but it was adding that twist behind it, which was making it so different. But
it's writing a story in the stuff that isn't there, like the gaps and time and stuff, right?
Yeah, but it still all ties the same.
Right, writing events that fit in between other events.
Yeah.
Stuff that could have just been left out and like writing it in so that like it wasn't. I understand.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying. Like you could adapt older stories into, well, more what I was saying was like rewriting stories but with newer characters which are still based on older characters.
No, I get what you were. It was a little different than what I was saying, but it's the same idea.
Yeah. So I don't know. Writing is never going to be completely original. There's concepts and stories that have been told and throughout centuries that are, some things are really popular and happen, and that's just humans, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine
what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, there's how many shows on television? Probably 1,000 different television shows just a day. that come out and stuff you never know on Netflix, Disney Plus, and all this stuff, and you'll never, it never even crosses your radar. But imagine those ideas got picked. Imagine how many ideas people have had that just get thrown away. And it's like some ideas were probably really good, but they just didn't have the backbone to back it enough. So they just threw it out. And it's like, well, yeah, if I just keep, even though the idea isn't solid now, I can take it in advance on it and learn from stuff that I've done or like what I've read and what I've seen and turn it into something that could be worth something.
Right. If you get an idea that has something, but it just didn't have the right creative forces behind it, or didn't have
the drive or the passion.
Right, or the money in order to make it.
Yeah.
And get it out there. Things can be reworked, and there's things that would work if they were done differently, but the way they were done didn't work out. Like Last Airbender movie, I feel like could have been made well, but they didn't, so it never will be.
Yeah, but they also didn't have the right people, the right drive behind it. They just had the motive of quick buck instead of here's my story, here's why. And I think that's what you have to take away from it too, is you can't have you can't think it's going to make money, because 99% of your 99% of your ideas will never make you money. It's how you apply your ideas and how you work with everything and do stuff that will make you money. It's the same idea of breaking down your dreams to goals and something obtainable.
If a bad idea could still make money if it's executed right.
It's done it.
Yeah.
So many bad ideas that well, obviously it's opinion based, but you're like, well, this is kind of dumb and this is kind of stupid. But at the end of the day, what I think is like, yeah, but guess what? It's making them money, and a lot of money. And guess what? You're sitting out there with your ideas and you don't say anything, but guess what? Their bad idea made them millions of dollars when you're complaining about it, just giving them more publicity for their bad idea.
Exactly. It's all about execution and how much passion and how much you're willing to devote into something.
Yeah.
It's also about money. Money's important. If you have a platform, like if you have a YouTube channel, a successful YouTube channel, it'd be a lot easier to get out.
I don't even think just that. I think if you just manifest your idea and you try, like if someone sees that you're putting your heart and soul into something, someone will pick that up and be like, well, this guy's working so hard on it that like obviously there's something there. And then like you find the right person who sees that, not only sees that, but then and believes in that. It's still like, even if you don't have it, you could still find someone who does and who can change it for you, which I think is probably the biggest thing to take away from it.
If you put it out there and somebody will see how much passion you're putting into something, and they may.
Yeah, it's just like music. There's those people who stand on the corner and play music, and like, yeah, they're just playing somebody else's song, but there's people who will stand there and just listen because they see how much passion you're putting into it, even though you're just on some random corner.
Right. And
playing music.
If the right guy walks by.
Yeah, that's all it takes. He's like, it's like everybody's like, what is it? Is it more hard work or luck? And
it's a lot of both.
Yeah, like I'm like it's 50-50, but it's not. It's 50-50, and you need to put 100% hard work into it, or it won't happen. But the other 50, you need that luck. Like that luck has to be there. It won't just come just by your hard work, but your hard work leads to other people seeing it, which gives that and which applies the luck to it.
The more people see it, the more likely it is to take off. Right.
Yeah, and it's just putting it out there. Like the guy who did the TV show, animated cartoon Final Space, like nobody really cared about it, and he decided, well, I'm just gonna draw it up, and it's just gonna be like flash like my animation drawings on the screen, and I'm just gonna tell the story behind it, voice act it, do everything. And well, he did that, put the passion into it, had the whole story, and took it places. And he was like, well, here's what I did to try, so look at all this is what I can do and apply. And someone was like, I'll give you the chance. And now it's a fairly big TV show for like that group of people, that community that likes it. It may be small, but they absolutely love it.
Yeah, once they get a place in the market, it's all you really need. And it's small. As long as you get a small community, you can build off of that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then like what I've understood from like just listening to like podcast is like, once you get there where you like, even if you get somewhere where you can throw your idea out there and someone's like, yeah, but we can't take it, they'll be like, the next time you come in, or asked to come in, they'll be more likely to bring you in, and more people will be more likely to listen to you because you've already tried. They see you have the drive and the stuff, but your just idea wasn't at that point where it was good enough yet, they felt. But like with new ideas and new things you do, it could just be so much better.
Yeah. Do you have any news about your television show? Or anything you want to talk about it? We haven't talked about it in a while.
I worked on it in like the first episode a lot more. Like I just went like sat down and I was like, okay, this is what like I need certain things explained, but like from listening to other people talk about how they pitch shows and all this stuff, it's like, yeah, everything has to go a certain way. Like every show, you need something to connect to the character like immediately, and something in some way where you can understand what they're going through for the first whole episode, but you need that explained in a certain amount of time in the beginning. Like The Walking Dead, you immediately know this is what he's been through, this is what happened,
right.
And it gives you the reason to care, like immediately.
Right.
Like you're like, this is what he used to do, and this is what happens when he wakes up, and it's like, well, okay, now I have a reason to like care about him and to see like his journey. And the same with it was the example most people use is Breaking Bad. I've never watched it either, but just listening to it, they were like, he was a teacher, and like you see the struggle he goes through being a teacher, and then at home, and then like something happens to him where he just snaps and flips, and that changes him, and you see that, and it builds you in the first 5-10 minutes, which then gives you and you need to have something where you could literally take it, and like you need that start in order to start it. Like even though you have the first, like if you do 12 episodes, say like I did in a first season, you have the first episode and you have the last episode, but like what's gonna start the start?
Right. You need something that'll get people invested in the characters right away, so that
they
follow along and they're invested.
Yeah.
So that's just a thing I've been struggling with. I think the main investment point that I have for my character is that he has like the burden of the powers, which is like the Superman angle.
Yeah, and mine would be like my main character, like when he was a child, something happened like family wise that turned him, and like you don't see what happens, but you hear what happens, and you hear it, and you get to see his distraught and the mother's distraught in their face and that, but it never pans to like what's actually happening, and then it cuts right back to where someone like right in that family problem he was getting yelled at, like verbally abused and all this stuff, and it flips right to present day where he's getting verbally abused.
So you have a definite visual aid.
Yeah, and it's like you saw this happen when he was young, and like what happened and why he was upset, and then you see immediately it just cuts black, and then it comes right back to the screen, and you hear it, and you're like, that sounds like this, but it's not that character.
Right.
But you're like, and then it just walks out the door and walks away, and you hear the same exact yelling, same exact wording and everything you heard before, but it's just saying that. It's showing you that the hardship that he went through when he was younger is still there.
Yeah, he's still,
and all the problems are still there.
It's a common thing that's been going on through his life. It's not a new event that's going on. You can see that it started earlier.
Yeah, and the whole reason of what he does and why he's like the way he is because everything in his life was so at that point. You know, I feel like that's the way to look at it. Is like, yeah, I had the start of the show, and I was like, this is the way I want to go. But then after listening to stuff, I was like, yeah, I have the match, and I have the wood and all this stuff, and I could start the fire, but I don't have the striker.
Right.
And now I have the striker.
Yeah. A lot of the character point that I'm trying to use to make an investment in my character would be something similar to the way Superman was, because like he has power and he has to give up so much. He has to sacrifice so much of his life because of the powers, the responsibility that comes with it. Because that's a lot of the reason that I started liking Superman more as a character than I did with Batman. I used to like Batman more as a character, and recently, past few years, I've sort of grown into liking Superman more, just because you see how much of his life he has to give up because he has the power and he has to protect people. Like he he moved to Metropolis not because he wanted to live in a city, because he liked living in the country.
Yeah.
He doesn't like living in the city, but he lives there because there's more people there.
Yeah, which needs the help the most.
Yeah, and that's sort of the amount of sacrifice that things he has to sacrifice, and he still turns out to be such a good person.
I think
that's the inspiring part, I think.
Yeah.
That's sort of the angle I'm trying to go for, which is why that's what I'm talking about. It's inspired by it, because it's a common writing point, but they nailed that character so well. It's hard to.
Yeah, I think the way you could do it, or yours, but like the way I look at the difference between Superman and Batman, is on a level of at some point, Superman is more personable than Batman. Because Batman's this unobtainable ridge by himself. Like, he doesn't, like, everything he does is just so far out there. But normal day-to-day life, your Superman is just a normal person.
Yeah.
He's more personable at the end of the day.
Yeah, the funny dynamic between Superman and Batman is who he is. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Bruce Wayne is who he pretends to be.
Yeah, it's who he
But who he is really is Batman.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce Wayne died in the alley when he was 8.
Mm-hmm.
Batman is who he is now. But Superman's the other way around. And Superman's the mask, and Clark Kent is who he really is. Just a good guy.
Yeah.
Which is sort of such an interesting dynamic that I don't think any other two characters have done quite as well.
Yeah, because it's perfect opposites.
Yeah. And it's a lot of people that don't read comics don't get that part. They think that Superman is who he really is, and he pretends to be Clark Kent to fit in, which is the opposite. Because he was Clark Kent long before he was Superman.
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, it's definitely just lack of knowledge on the characters.
Yeah, which is... When you learn that, that's when I started to like Superman more. When I started learning more about that. This is the best scene.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely the way you do it. Because, like, even characters that I've hated, it's like... Yeah, I hate them, but, like, I do like them because I hate them. Like, you gave me such a good reason to hate this character that I like them so much that like I hate them. Yeah, and right. I like that I hate them so much. And it's like, well, yeah, I get it. He's, like, he's a bad character. It's like, no, he's a bad guy, but he's doing it so well being bad that it's like, no, I like him. I like his, even if he's rude and whatever, it's like, that's who he is.
Talking about Iron Man?
Yeah. I don't...
Right, no, I get it.
Like I said, I've never been a fan of Iron Man. I think he's exactly what he is. He's a rich asshole at the end of the day. And that's always what I thought he was. But he changes, obviously, if you just watch the movies. But that's what they want you to do. Like, right. He's not supposed to be, like, a likable character in the first couple movies. He's who he is. And that's why, like, I hate him, but that's why I like him, is because he's just who he is at the end of the day.
Writing good characters doesn't always mean writing likable people.
Yeah, not at all. I don't think so.
You don't have to like the hero as a person, but they have to be, they're interesting enough as a character, and you can see their growth.
And you can differentiate the two.
Yeah.
Differentiate the two.
Differentiate.
Yeah,
I can't say
we both screwed that up. But, like, you just have to be able to, disconnect those two and understand that this is how it is.
Yeah, good characters aren't always good people.
No, and they don't have to be, and they shouldn't be.
They should be flawed, and
I think that's what makes a good character, though.
Right.
Is you see the flaws, but you see them. Not only do you see their flaws, you see them changing to try to make the flaws better.
Yeah, you see the growth throughout the story, which is one of the big struggles about writing good characters, which is I'm just kind of struggling with, because I'm trying to find a good balance for my character.
Mm-hmm.
How long have we been going?
About 53 minutes. No, we have enough to get to an hour, and then we'll be all set at an hour.
All right. I just thought it said 15%.
Yeah. No, I have a charger in my bag, but.
Okay. Well, yeah. So writing a good character is difficult, especially when you have to, because I want to make him a likable person. I'm not going for the Tony Stark angle. He's got to be a likable person from the beginning, and it's just seeing him overcome stuff. That's going to be his character. It's going to be more like Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Where he's put through a lot of trials and hardships, but he still comes out, and he's still who he is. He doesn't change.
And he doesn't give up.
Exactly. That's sort of the angle I'm trying to go for there with his character.
Yeah, I think it's a good move. It sounds good, and it read good.
It's worked for multiple characters.
Yeah.
Over the course of human history, I feel like it'll work. It's just, which is, I don't know. It just takes a lot of effort.
But I think that's a good mindset to have, that it works, or like you think you have it where in mind where you know it will work for you, and you know that's how it will do it, and just adapting and changing will just make it will make it better.
Yeah, a lot of the struggle is the production side of things, the behind the scenes stuff about getting storylines to line up and getting everything to come together in a nice little package that it looks good and someone is...
Yeah, I get what you're saying in it.
Right. Which is, the logistical things are what's proven the most difficult. Like, I wrote the story, and I got it all in my head. Getting it to paper is, in a way that works with everything together, is definitely a challenge, I think.
You could even do it like we used to do in school with like those little web maps where you take like the circles and you have like, say you have 40 circles on that page, and in each circle you write like, this is what's gonna happen, and you draw arrows to it and like the direction it will go, and then like where you're like, yeah, this works, but I can add this detail in between these two circles where the arrow is, and you just put your idea there. And so then like when you're writing it, when you take it to a piece of paper and write it out, it's all there in a map. Like you have that map, the web map, which you're following, but like all the spaces you wrote extra in between, or say you didn't because you felt one bubble transitioned nicely to the next bubble, you still have everything there.
Right. Never been good at that. I always been more freeform.
Yeah.
Just writing stuff down and throwing stuff in to see what sticks.
Obviously, everything I've done is the exact opposite of what I preach, but
yeah, I've done lot less organized work, but I don't know. There's a smart way of looking at it, and there's just doing whatever works for whoever you are. Like,
yeah.
Finding a system that's consistent over multiple sessions is probably something that's good to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would be the most practical for me, just from what I've learned from the writing of this I've done. But
I think just looking at it as you got work done on it and you're working on it is the best way to look at it, as long as you're looking at it as like, I'm doing this, I'm getting this done, so there's a reason to continue it.
Yeah, I was expecting to talk about different stuff over this time. I didn't expect the whole thing to be about story writing, but it's worked out.
I think it's pretty good. It works.
Has it been an hour yet?
We're at 57. We'll just cut it there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
See you next year.
See you next year, guys. Bye.